What's going on, NEM crew? Welcome back to another video. Excuse the noise in the background. Today we're doing a little bit of minor things on the Datsun. So when we left things off, we had issues with the rear CV shaft fitting on the driver's side. The passenger side fit no problem. Everything went together. Obviously I still got to finalize the passenger side rear, button everything up with the brakes and all that fun stuff. But in this video, I'm gonna actually finalize, button up one last thing on the front because I had to order some parts because I didn't have the right size Allen socket, and I got to put in a transmission mount for the rear, a new transmission mount, because those bushings are original, and I figured why not take a little bit of time, change the bushings. I actually have the full mount, so it's nothing too involved. Like, I don't have to take the old bushings out, put the new bushings in and reinstall everything. Just a matter of taking the old man out, putting the new one in. Should be interesting. Other than that, we have the dreaded intake removal. I know. I said that, I said in the previous video that I hope I never have to take this thing off again, and taking it on and off is like the worst torture ever, and you'll have to be institutionalized. So I guess after today I'm gonna have to book myself a room and have people start feeding me pills because I'm gonna need it. But yes, we have to take the intake off again. It is touching the header in two spots, and I don't want to start the car up, have it rattle, or have any issues. So I'm gonna have to just take the intake off, shave off those two spots on the intake. They're just brackets, so they literally can just be ground down just a hair, just to allow for a little bit of wiggle room. While I have the intake off, I'm actually gonna put some of the heat reflective tape. One of you guys in the comments mentioned that might help out for the heat soak, so I picked some of that up. We'll be doing that. We might not get to all of it in this video. The goal is to have just the intake removed, the transmission mount changed, and everything buttoned up on the front. So let's just dive right in. Should be interesting. Again, excuse the noise in the background. We'll dive right in, start with the tranny mount, and then we'll work with buttoning up the front. So I don't really have my light with me today, so I'm not gonna be able to get too many shots underneath the car, but it's pretty simple. I have my new mount here. It's got the new bushings installed. Ultimately, you could just buy the bushings on the end, take the old one out, change out the bushings, and then put it back in. I figured I was putting in a big order through Techno Toy Tuning. They had this available. Might as well just pick this up. It's all CNC'd aluminum. Might shed some weight, I'm not sure. But again, not really necessary. You can just buy the bushings and you'll be good to go. So ultimately, there's two studs that go through this hole here, and then there is a stud that comes down from the transmission, because there's another like rubber bushing on the transmission. I've already replaced that. That's new from when we did the engine work a couple years back, and it's just got a stud that comes out the bottom with a nut. So ultimately three bolts, and you should be able to pop this out and change this. So hopefully we don't run into any issues. But I think it'll be pretty simple. So I'm just gonna do that now, and then we'll move on to the other work. All right guys, we're making progress. Transmission mount's done. Front end is buttoned up. I took the rear sway bar out because it can't mount the way that it mounts from the factory to work with our setup. That was really, really easy. So for the front end, this is the tool that I needed. I ended up buying this whole kit. It was on sale on Amazon for like 50 bucks. I wasn't really too worried about it, but good thing I did, because I thought it was metric. It actually ended up being 1/2 inch. So that's literally all I needed to button up the front. I'll see if I can show you here. There is this nut right there, or I guess this bolt, but it's an Allen bolt, and it's huge. So I needed that kit or the 1/2 inch to actually do that. So that's all buttoned up. I'm pretty sure at this point everything on the front end is ready to go. I double checked all of the arms, all of the brake stuff. I think there's just a cotter pin on either side for the outer tie rods. And I think that's literally it for the front. There's gonna be some minor things we do in the engine bay after the intake's taken care of. I gotta finish and button up this air box because I've been running it, I don't know if you guys can see, I've been running it with just this box here, but there's actually a plastic piece that loops back and around. So I'm gonna kind of try and get the car perfect for this this season. So we'll see what we can do here. But I'm gonna start pulling off these fuel lines, the wiring harness. The actual intake doesn't necessarily need to come right off. It just needs to come up just so I can access, well, I gotta get to the heat shield. Yeah, it probably should come right out. We'll see. Right now it is, what? 12:30. So we'll see how long it takes me to take this this off. I mean, I've done it so many times now that, you know what? It may be very quick, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Guys, the intake is off. Who is calling me? Come on. Non-stop. Alright guys, the intake is off and I'm surprised it actually took me less than an hour to do that. It is 1:24. So definitely getting used to it. The real struggle will be putting everything back together, but at least the intake's off here. So we're going to ultimately fill all this spot with the reflective heat tape. While I have this off, one of these bolts here snapped off, as you can see, and this one here doesn't really line up at all. So I'm gonna try and shift it back, but I doubt it'll line up. I don't know if this is even supposed to be for this. But what I might even do is just put some foam tape under here and under here, just so there's no rattling or anything like that. There's no mounting spots back here where my hand is. So we'll do that, put the foam tape on, put the reflective heat tape, and then we have to grind off a few spots. As you can see, it was hitting right here. So I'm gonna take, I don't know how much I can really take off, but I'll try and take off just a little bit there, and then it's hitting right here. So here, this is where the EGR tube would go. I had this blocked off and then the top welded. So I'm just gonna shave off a good amount on here because I can. And then we should be good to go. I got those spots ground down, put a little coat of paint just so it doesn't rust. let that sit for a couple minutes, then we'll head back. We're actually in the OG garage. All the OG viewers from a couple years ago would know. We got the Volvo here. Not a lot of progress made on the Volvo, to be honest. But we'll be working on the Volvo, I think, in the summer. Once the Datsun's done enjoying, and we're enjoying it, we'll get the Volvo done. But a little bit of an update. This side is back together. So if you're new, there's a lot of rust. So we cut out this piece, made some new pieces, welded everything in. So this side is done. Now we have to do the other side, the fenders, and then the rear quarter on the passenger side. So the passenger side windshield, obviously a lot worse, but I know what I'm doing now, so should be able to get that side done, no problem. All right, let's get back to it, get the intake on the car, but first we have to put this shit on here. So let's do that first, then we'll put the intake back on. All right guys, we're back in the garage. We're going to clean this up and then put this stuff on here. Now I've never used this before, and this is kind of like a no-name brand. I got it off Amazon, so I'm not really sure. The reviews were decent. Some of them said they couldn't get this to stick. Others said it was amazing and the adhesive was great. It was relatively cheap. I was going to get like the name brand. I can't remember what the brand is called at this point, but it was like 60 bucks for a roll. This was maybe, I can't remember what it was, but it was a marginally cheaper, and I figured might as well give it a shot. So we're gonna get this prepped. Let me just see. I don't know what I just did. I think I broke it. A lot of you guys might be wondering why I didn't just bite the bullet and get the more expensive one. First of all, I'm cheap. I know it probably doesn't seem like it, but I am cheap, and I try and not cut corners, but save some money where I can. Because I spend a lot of money on those parts, anywhere that I can kind of, you know, save on the build is what I'm gonna do. So plus it's an opportunity to review this, and if this stuff is good, then you know, I'll put the link in the description. You guys can check it out for yourself instead of spending the $60 yourself. So I'm trying to figure out what would be the best way if I run it lengthwise. Probably the best way would be to do that. Let's see if we can get this back on. This is going to be a little bit tricky by myself. I don't know if that's going to go in. We'll find out. I only got about 45 minutes, so let's see if I can do it. It's in. I'm kidding. Don't you wish it was that easy? Sometimes. Sometimes. Oh, popped right in. shit. Did I get it? I think I got it. I'm gonna back this one off. I got it. Should be a little bit easier now. Alright guys, a quick tip I found putting this back together. Use some needle nose pliers with the bolt here just to feed it into place. That way it's just a little bit easier. At least you're not fighting with it for a while. I got really long extension, an adjustable, and a shallow 14, really shallow 14. And I'm kind of fishing everything through the fuel lines and the fuel rail. All these nice fun things that get in the way. I'm trying to get it to start. Got that one in. That was really quick. That was the quickest one so far. As you start getting them in, it'll be easier. Recommendation would be to do one side, because you have to, once you lock it in place, because it uses the bolts for the header, because we had to loosen those, so it'll lock in place, but it sits too low. It has to be lifted up and then against the actual cylinder head. Best recommendation would do one side first. Get the bolt started, that way you can lift it up and get it level where it needs to go in, and then if you do the opposite side and can get that started, then the other two in the middle should line up because the two sides are in. It's very tedious. It's not really that fun to do, but now that this is like my 5th time doing this on this car, it actually has been pretty smooth of a process. Not saying I want to do this again, but if I had to, I could do everything in a few hours. And they're all in. Alright guys, the intake is on, everything's buttoned up. That's it. That's gonna be a wrap for today's video. Everything is good to go. We got the heat wrap on there. Those two parts have been ground off. They look like they aren't touching, which is perfect. It should be better. The transmission mount's in, the rear sway bar's off, and that's it. We're just gonna have to now wait for that CV shaft to come in. I may get the passenger side all wrapped up beforehand. We'll see, depending on the timing of things, because I don't want the car to be off the road for that much longer. We'll have to do the pinion angle. So there's a few other things that we can do in the meantime, and we'll be getting some videos out soon for you guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe. It would mean the world to me. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the little bell, the notification button, so you get up to date with all the videos and you'll be notified when they come out. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay classy, crew.